Just coming to the final part of this, annoyingly I ran out of memory, but it seems an opportune moment because after Nostradamus' album Cake a Downing Leaves, you probably just heard me say KK at the end of the last clip, sadly, founding member, and then they found a guitarist called Richie Faulkner, and he does the Epitaph tour. So there's a big gap from Nostradamus to the next album, Redeemer of Souls, which is Richie Faulkner's debut, and he basically co-writes the songs of Rob Halford and Glenn Tipton. He does a cracking job. Great artwork by Mark Wilkinson on this again. I should just mention on the previous album, Nostradamus, he did a tremendous job there of doing a big sort of big box set for that album. So sterling work from him again on this. So this CD I've got here is actually a double CD. It's got the proper album, which is 13 tracks, and then they also did a bonus disc with 5 tracks on it. So I think credit's due to Priest for producing so much music. They've produced 20 tracks with the last album or more with Nostradamus, 18 with this if you include the bonus disc, and 14 on the next one. So still very creative, still out there making albums, and a lot of bands are just kind of not really. Okay, so what's this album like? I'll get my gripe out of the way. I'm not keen on the production. I think it's got a woolly sound. The rhythm guitar sounds too dry, and the drums sound boxy. But it is a really good record. It's got loads of good tracks on it. Dragonaut, Halls of Valhalla, my favourite Sword of Damocles, Down in Flames. There's like a triple track 6, 7 and 8. Down in Flames, Hell and Back and Cold Blooded. A really cool run of tracks there. And later on you got Battle Cry, and it finishes with a cool ballad, beginning of the end. The bonus disc, the tracks aren't great, but they're good. They're solid tracks. The last one on the bonus disc called Never Forget, I really like. It's like a sort of Priest goodbye song, but obviously they kept going. So Richie Faulkner equips himself really well on this. We'll sort of come to his performance on the next album. I think with this he's kind of getting a lot of his licks out there. He's probably got a lot of licks built up. Right, I want to get these on a record. You can hear his influences more. Guys like Zakk Wylde and Schenker, obviously. So basically they do this album, and I think because maybe it's been a lot of work with Glenn Tipton producing the last 2 albums, and obviously later on it came out that he has Parkinson's disease, so it must have been a lot of work, not only playing guitars, writing and doing that. They get a producer in, and they don't just get any producer, they get, in my opinion, the hottest producer in metal, and that is Andy Sneap. So prior to doing the next Priest album, Andy Sneap had produced a lot of stuff. He did great work with Arch Enemy, Exodus. Can't remember the title of the album, but it's from the Mid-noughties. It sounds phenomenal. He also did the Testament albums, various other things, but he really kind of hit pay dirt a bit, I think, when he did Accept's Blood of Nations album. And what that effectively did was relaunched Accept with a new singer, but people just couldn't believe how good it sounded. I was going in the studio, going, right, I want to sound like this, and other bands were. Basically, he just harnesses this massive bottom end, but it's really tight. And so that got him even more notice. And so after that, obviously done a couple more Accept albums, I think. He was recruited by Priest for this album, Firepower. Now, interesting in this, what they did with this was not only did they have Andy Sneap at the helm, cool album cover by the way, not Mark Wilkinson, a different guy, but top job. They got Tom Allen back as well. I kind of imagine Tom Allen in a kind of executive capacity here, just sort of chipping in bits here and there, going, oh, we did it like this back in that day. What about that sound? And what about when you used to do that with your vocals, Rob, like rolling your R's? So they had that balance, and then they used Mike Exeter, who'd been the engineer on Redeemer of Souls. So they put together this really great production team. And I think when I first heard about that, I thought, oh, I wonder what that'll be like. And the proof of the pudding is in the eating. I think this is the best recorded heavy metal album in history. I've been listening to heavy metal a long time. I think the production on this is gold standard. I think the rhythm guitar sound, the bottom end, the drums, the way it all gels together is typical of what you'd expect from Sneap. But the Tom Allen element comes in where they're bringing in sort of extra little guitar orchestrations and extra vocal things. Because like on Andy Sneap's other productions, like Accept, is pretty straight ahead. It's bass, drums, guitar, vocals, and a few backing vocals. This has got more stuff going on. So it's got all the pre-production elements that you'd expect from the Tom Allen era, from British Steel to Ram It Down, the cool sound effects, the extra vocals, stuff like that. But it's got the phenomenal sound that's engineered by Mike Exeter and then overseen by Andy Sneap. So Richie Faulkner comes of age on this album. He excels himself with his riffing and his solos. So he sort of got all these kind of licks and stuff out of the way on the last album, and the solos on this really service the song, and each solo is like really fits really well. His the sort of standout solo, I think, is on the track Traitor's Gate, which we'll come to in a bit. Glenn Tipton obviously doesn't do as many solos as he did on the last album, and at the time we didn't know why, but we know that because he's suffering from Parkinson's, that makes it difficult to execute technical things. What I like about this album is the way Andy Sneap was obviously taking the time with Glenn to put together solos that fit the songs and add a good counterpoint to what Faulkner's doing. And Glenn, acquits himself really well on this, and I love his contribution. Obviously, he's still involved in the writing, and you can hear loads of like classic Tipton riffs and songwriting touches. The album's, it's got 14 tracks. If it had a little criticism, it'd be maybe like, maybe they could have lost a couple of tracks, but I know they had more tracks, and I think some of the band wanted to do just make it 10 tracks, but they just couldn't decide, such as the quality of the material. So right off the bat, you got Firepower and Lightning Strike, which are both cracking openers, really cool. Then Evil Never Dies. These are all punchy tracks, 3.5 minutes and 4 minutes 20, really good arrangements. Then absolute corker track 4, Never the Heroes. Almost a little bit turbo-ish from the sounds on this, but great hook, really good vocal. I remember seeing when they released this track, when they're putting that tracks on the album before it came out. I'm just looking over there because I've got to go and pick up my wife from work in a sec, so we're gonna blast through this. So that's a great track. Then Necromancer next is a really good metal track, really really intense. Then track 6 is Children of the Sun. I kind of see this as the end of side 1 if it was a vinyl album, and actually the way it's laid out on the back, you can almost see there's Children of the Sun. So, and that's probably the weakest track up to now, but I like it. Then it opens with a short instrumental on side, what we'll call side 2, even though it's not, which is Guardians, which is a lovely little sort of piano piece with harmonies, and then it goes into a stone cold Modern Priest classic. When I first got the album, I just thought this song is just, it's so good. It's Rising from Ruins. Love the lyrics on this, quite sort of timely with what's been going on in the world the last few years. Great riff from Faulkner, great soloing from him and Glenn. Brilliant chorus, really euphoric, one of the best tracks they've ever done. Next track up is a funny one, Flamethrower. I really like this. Not as keen on the chorus on it, but the verse and the pre-chorus, the bridge, are fantastic, and it's got a cool kind of slide solo by Glenn in it. And it's a good track, it's a fun track, that. Then next up is another classic. It's like Priest's sequel to The Ripper. It's called Spectre. This is really good. It's got a great riff. Cool lyric from Halford. Whenever I hear this song, I just have to kind of sing the chorus and go into full Halford impersonation. Then it's the aforementioned Traitor's Gate, which is one of the longer, sort of more epic tracks in the album. Great 12/8 meter on this. Really good. That's the time signature if you're not a musician. Then a track I wasn't as into, but it's really good. I've really got into it. No Surrender. Really, really welcome track this on the album. It's 2 minutes 54. Just really punchy. Kind of like the sort of track they do in the British Steel era. Straight and to the point. Really good chorus. Lovely guitar parts. Fantastic vocal by Halford on this. Like he's singing the slightly upper register on this than from what he does now. He's giving it loads of aggression, and it's hugely impressive from a man. When was this released? He was 66, 67 when he cut the vocals for this. Phenomenal. Then you've got Lone Wolf. Again, not my favourite track on the album, but it's got a really cool bluesy riff. Brilliant verse. Again, it's a really good track. Maybe I wouldn't have put it on, but then again, it is a good track. And then finally, you finish with Sea of Red, which is a totally lovely track about sort of World War One, the Remembrance Fields. It's got a lovely intro by Faulkner. I think he had this riff for a long time. And it's got Glenn's, my favourite break of Glenn's on this. Really nice kind of bluesy thing he does. And that's it. I just think this is a great album. No band has got any business making an album this good at this stage of their career. I think it's the best sounding and is the best heavy metal album of the 21st century. The other one is Resurrection by Rob Halford, his 2000 solo album. I'm not biased, by the way. I'm not biased at all. Okay, so quickly, I really do. I have to go soon. Let's just give me my favourite Judas Priest albums. I'm just doing the Halford era, and it's It's not got the live ones in, so it's got the 16 studio albums of Rob Halford. I'm not going to do Ripper ones because I'm not as into those, and we're just dealing with sort of the classic Priest. So number 16, Redeemer of Souls. 15, Ram It Down. 14, Nostradamus. 13, Rockarola. 12, Angel of Retribution. 11, Turbo. 10, Point of Entry. 9, Defenders of the Faith. 8, Painkiller. 7, Firepower, getting in there. 6, British Steel. 5, Sin After Sin. 4, Screamer for Vengeance. 3, Killing Machine. And here's the controversy, because anyone who knows me for years, this was my favourite Priest album, Sad Wings of Destiny. And number 1, it's just happened in the last year, Stained Class. There we are. So there's always that thing where you're changing and evolving with what you're into. So hope you've enjoyed this, and I kind of did this more just to kind of document my vinyl. Like I said, 'cause I'm going to sell it. I've had a great time with it in the past, and it's but there gets a point where you don't need to keep everything. Once something's had its use and it's been amazing, it needs to be moved on and enjoyed by someone else. So thanks very much.